A Smash presentation is finally here, and fans are ready and waiting for the 16th. The tedious saga of Fighter number 5 will finally come to an end. But with still a few hours left before that time arrives, speculation is going just as strong as ever. Let's jump in and take a look at some of the last ditch efforts to try and predict who this fighter is going to be. Now, one of the most interesting things out of all so far to me comes from Sakurai's Twitter. For the announcement on his own personal Twitter, he actually retweeted Nintendo's official tweet twice, once being in English. Now, why is that important? Well, the last time Sakurai put out his own personal tweet in English was all the way back in November of 2018 when he announced that the DLC selection process was over. So Sakurai did not tweet out anything in English for any of the directs since then or any of the character reveals, not even Banjo. To me, this feels like it could be a hint at a character who is either from the West or really wanted by the West, since Sakurai specifically goes out of his way to tweet about this in English. The actual tweet itself reads, "I'll be revealing a new DLC fighter for Smash Bros. Ultimate in my next showcase. This time the fighter hasn't been announced in advance, so make sure to tune in. Can any oracles out there guess who it will be in one go?" The last line is a funny one, as it's almost Sakurai poking fun at speculation and leakers in a way, but I've seen a few people pointing out that oracles are a relevant plot point in the Halo series and Master Chief fits a Western character. Now personally, I'd be ecstatic if it was Chief, but I'm not quite sure the oracle in Sakurai's tweet really means anything as a hint. The word oracle is just commonly used as someone who can see the future, so I think in this case, there was no secret hidden meaning behind the use of oracle. I do think that this solidifies though that it's going to be a character heavily wanted by the West, as I just don't see any other reason Sakurai would go out of his way to tweet it in English without having done so for the previous characters. Now originally I saw this over on Smashboard from user Monkey D. Lenny. He pointed out the bad crop job that someone did on the Sakurai thumbnail. So when creating these thumbnails, the editor is cropping out still frames from the actual video and using one of them for that thumbnail. Well, on this one, you can clearly see they left a decent sized piece of brown around Sakurai's sleeve that they missed somehow. Now in the past presentations, Sakurai is always seated in front of the character's renders, so logically whoever the character is here behind Sakurai will have some brown in them, or maybe possibly in the background of the render. I saw some other people pointing to the area around the hair of Sakurai as well, but it's much less clear for that. When comparing the previous presentations, you can see that around the hair tends to be a decent point for the coloration. Terry's is extremely obvious in retrospect. You can see the red and blue glow around Sakurai's hair from Terry's render, and on Banjo's you can see the colors as well. But for this newer one, I'd argue it's nowhere near as clear, and there only seems to be one major point of possible separation, and we can't really draw much from it. Overall, I wouldn't put too much stock into this, but I have seen people suggesting that there is darker green around Sakurai's hair. I myself don't think it's clear enough as to whether that's actually separation from the background or just lighting reflecting off of his hair. I know a lot of people have been using this to say that it could be Doomslayer or Master Chief as well, but for me I think the only thing clear enough to be useful here is the brown part around the sleeve, and that isn't really enough to make a guess one way or the other. Something to think about as well is for people out there still holding on to Doomslayer, both Sabby and Fergman have deconfirmed Slayer's number 5, so if he does arrive, mass chaos and flaming of both of those individuals will likely commence on all the forums. That's just how Smash speculation goes. Another aspect I've seen people trying to use as a hint towards their character is the pose Sakurai is making in the thumbnail. We went over before that the Sakurai, images in these thumbnails usually come from the actual video presentation itself. So this pose with Sakurai holding up 3 fingers likely comes from him explaining something during the presentation, and that's something people may need to keep in mind. I've seen theories saying it's referencing Crash Bandicoot, I've seen theories, saying it's referencing Sora. However, the one I think that makes the most sense and could be real is suggesting it could be referencing Goichi Suda, the creator of No More Heroes, and the man himself, Travis Touchdown. The 3-finger pose is often one that Suda flashes for photographs. In fact, there's even a photo with Suda and Sakurai next to each other where Suda is throwing up the exact same 3-finger pose. And for those who don't know, Sakurai and Suda are friends and have been for over a decade now. Suda even helped a bit on Smash Bros. Brawl's sound design. So if the 3-finger pose was in fact referencing something, I could see Sakurai giving that shout out to Suda sometime during the actual presentation. Even looking at Sakurai's face in the photo, he seems to be laughing or joking around a bit, so this is probably the most logical explanation if it is referencing anything at all. And now we must talk about Zippo. If you haven't heard about them, I'll briefly catch you up. Zippo has started to come forward lately with Nintendo information over on the forum Reset Era, which is in itself a boost for his credibility. Reset Era outright bans members that try to post fake leaks. The leakers over there need to be verified by the moderators and the admins, so the fact that he has the mod's blessing is again a point in his favor. And I'm sure most of you remember Shinobi leaking Banjo. Well, that went down on Reset Era as well, where Shinobi himself is verified by the mods. And additionally, Sabi has vouched for Zippo as well, so he clearly has somewhat of a backing. Now here is what Zippo has mentioned about the next Smash fighter. For starters, he has outright deconfirmed Cosmos and says he thinks it's not likely to be Dante or Arl. He goes on further to say that it's someone first party kinda sorta, and when questioned on that if he meant a character similar to Bayonetta in that regard of first party kinda sorta, he said someone like that basically. Zippo clarified that this information comes from people who know way more than he does, but he can't clarify much more about that. Another big clarification is that Zippo walked back and said that the character could be relevant with or without Nintendo. So the biggest takeaways from what Zippo said are that it's a character in similar territory to Bayonetta, to where it's not really a first party character but Nintendo is heavily related to them, and that the character could still be relevant without Nintendo. So to boil it down to simple terms, a third-party character who most likely has heavy Nintendo connections. Funnily enough, a character who this could make sense for is one we just discussed, Travis Touchdown. Travis did get a start on Nintendo Wii, but an enhanced port of that game, No More Heroes Paradise, was released on Xbox 360 and PS3, and on top of that a spin-off mobile game was created as well for Japan only, and a recent spin-off, Travis Strikes Again, was released on all three of the big consoles, Switch, Xbox One, and PS4. So this could fit with the hint that the character would still be relevant even without Nintendo. One thing I do want to reach back at the start of the video for is that English version of Sakurai's tweet. It still kind of boggles me that he put out an English tweet for this specific translation. I really think it has to be a character that appeals to the West. No More Heroes has always sold better in the West, specifically USA, than anywhere else. Superheroes or heroes in general are a huge Western thing.
Superhero? You must mean me.
Now, does Travis himself warrant Sakurai's first English tweet in over a year? I'm not sure. Another character that I could sort of see making sense is actually Shantae. Shantae's original start came exclusively on the Game Boy Color way back in 2002, but ever since then she has made her way across almost all the major platforms, so she is a character that had that Nintendo start and has now branched out to be multi-platform. I don't know if Nintendo would reach for an indie to close out the Fighter Pass, but Shantae could theoretically fit some of these hints that Zippo has been throwing out. Another character is the puppet himself, Gino. I could see him lining up with a lot of these hints. His situation is extremely funky, being technically a Mario character, but being owned by Square Enix. That could certainly line up with some of the hints that Zippo has said. The only thing I can really see against it, meaning Gino, is that Zippo technically said that the character could still be relevant without Nintendo, and Gino has still only been a leading role in technically one game many years ago. I wouldn't really say he would be one of the front contenders to be relevant without Nintendo per se, but anything is possible with these hints. I do want to stress though that oftentimes leakers can get the order of these characters messed up. Zippo has clarified multiple times that these hints are for character number 5, but funky things can still happen. It could be that these hints wind up being for the character after number 5. We won't really know until Thursday, I suppose, but that is going to be the wrap up for this video, guys. Let me know what you think has been the most interesting piece of information in the video and who your final guess is for fighter number 5. As always, if you want to keep up to date with more future content, make sure to subscribe and notifications on. My social media links are down below. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.